After years of upbraiding and even threatening to abolish the Internal Revenue Service, Republicans must now depend on the agency to carry out their signature legislative accomplishment, a comprehensive revision of the tax code. The task is monumental. While processing tens of millions of tax returns for 2017 under the current rules, the IRS would also have to figure out how to interpret and explain a new system and put it into practice. Beware, said John A. Koskinen, who retired last month as IRS Commissioner. If the budget keeps being cut and the agency keeps being given more things to do, the IRS is simply not going to work. Either the information technology will fail, forcing the filing and refund systems to collapse, he warned, or enforcement and audits will become so scarce that fewer people will be inclined to pay the taxes they owe. The House and Senate were expected to vote on the $1.5 trillion tax overhaul as soon as Tuesday. Vice President Mike Pence planned to preside over the vote and, if needed, break a tie and pass the bill. Even before Congress began revising the tax code, the IRS was struggling to keep up with an expanding workload. Since 2010, its budget has been cut by $900 million, or 17%, after adjusting for inflation, and its staff reduced by 21,000, or 23%. In the meantime, it has had to process roughly 10 million more individual returns. The agency has been a favorite target of Republicans, who have complained that it unfairly investigated conservative organizations and reveled in irritating taxpayers. A recent Inspector General report showed that the IRS had scrutinized both liberal and conservative groups. During the campaign, President Trump accused the agency of unjustly hounding him with audits year after year. Paying as little as possible was the American way, he declared. Although Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin has acknowledged the importance of sufficiently funding the nation's revenue collector, Mr. Trump's budget proposed deep cuts. Referring to enforcement, taxpayer services, and cybersecurity, Mr. Koskinen said, "We don't have enough people to do all the work that needs to be done as a general matter, let alone grapple with an overhaul of the tax code. Getting out new withholding tables, so that payroll managers know how much to deduct from paychecks and can update their systems, would be a priority on the agency's expanded to-do list." The American Payroll Association, with 21,000 members, sounded an alarm in a letter to Congress. "Our members are already starting to panic, on behalf of themselves and millions of employees, about the effect on 2018 withholdings of a tax bill that will be effective a week after its enactment." The IRS said in a statement on Thursday that taxpayers should not expect to see any changes as a result of the legislation to be reflected in their paychecks until February, and that the agency would work closely with payroll and tax professionals. That delay puts the onus on workers to make adjustments later in the year if too much or too little money is being withheld because their January paychecks reflect the outdated 2017 law. Pete Isberg, Vice President for Government Relations for ADP, one of the largest payroll providers, said taking account of the changes would be easier for the larger automated companies, but acknowledged that the short lead time between the law's anticipated passage and the effective date would be a problem for some.